Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt has blocked the funding for their state's PBS station through 2026, listing several of their shows as questionable. The lineup included Sesame Street, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, and Clifford the Big Red Dog. But they said that some of these shows featured, you listen to this and you're like, oh, well, that's fine. These are all wholesome programming. Well, they featured lesbian parents, a segment of Let's Learn that featured a child's book titled The Hips on the Drag Queen Go Swish, 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 being read by Lil Miss Hot Mess, which those of you who are watching rather than listening to the audio podcast can see. I will give it to him. The name Lil Miss Hot Mess is accurate because he does look horrifyingly disgusting. Governor Stitt criticized a NewsHour feature that included parent support for transgender surgeries on children and puberty blockers. There was also a gay character in Walk It Out Wombats, as well as Clifford the Big Red Dog, including LGBTQ characters. So, you just these, they're so old, they're old. We grew up with them, or I grew up with them, and you think to yourself, these are safe. These are wholesome. Well, no, they've just totally transformed them into being LGBTQ. And Governor Stitt said, we're not having it. So, Yaku, I'm going to go to you first because you've worked with Governor Stitt on legislation protecting children from all of this radical ideology. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, proud of him. Honestly, he's kicking Abbott's tail Monday to Sunday. I'll tell you, Oklahoma is the most conservative state in the country because they get things done. Kevin Stitt signed our House Bill 3702, which was the bill to remove sexual content from old school curriculum, public library, etc. And it's based on that bill that then any content creator that creates that content is liable. And of course, here PBS created that content. So off that bill, and he's just on a tear. Kevin Stitt's on a tear. He's going after it. And I say, keep going. And even their state treasurer, Todd Russ, is starting to close the spigot financially on some of these institutions, which I love. Sometimes they don't listen, but they know when they lose money, which is the Bud Light thing. So at this moment, that combo of Kevin Stitt and Todd Russ in Oklahoma, the rest of the states can learn something.
This is, I feel like, what you were alluding to when you said fight back.
Yes, that's
right?
exactly what I'm talking about.
The lawmakers need to have balls.
Yes.
They need to fight back. They need to be proactive because so often we have these squishy Republicans who are just reactive to everything and defensive and oh no, I don't want to be called a transphobe. Oh no, I don't. We're dealing with a Texas legislature. We're talking about Greg Abbott. We're dealing with a Texas legislature who is too scared to pass a bill banning the child mutilation.
That's right.
Of genitals and breasts. So it's just so frustrating to deal with all of these people who just don't have the guts to get it done. Be proactive. Put the other side on their tails for once.
Yaku, what's the first commandment? To have no other gods before me.
Exactly.
You know what the definition of idolatry, my working definition, if I have to ask anything else's permission before I say yes to God,
that's a God to
my conscience, then that's a God to me.
That's right.
Yeah.
I don't have to ask permission of a community, a pride community, LGBTQ community, the trans community, a minority. I don't have to ask your permission before I speak the truth.
Yes.
The problem is we've made them into idols. They've become, because we're afraid of them. Mm-hmm. We literally fear them, therefore we worship them. We believe that they have some kind of control over our life. Thank you to Governor Stitt for stepping up and not being a conservative, but having a conscience.
That's right.
Because we have conservatives that have done nothing because these conservatives are not acting according to conscience. They're bowing down to the idolatry of the age. And you see the consequences of what we're dealing with.
Yeah, absolutely. It's also Kevin Stitt that sat on a CPAC stage when he had no support who said, I'm banning abortion. That's the same guy we're talking about. So come on.
Yeah.
So when we tell you Abbott is a little behind the 8 ball, he's in the rear view so far back he's being lapped by Kevin Stitt.
Yeah.
I want to, speaking of the radical LGBTQ and gender ideology, I want to get one more story in here. 2 Colorado parents are suing their children's school district over allegations that teachers and administrators encouraged their daughters to join an LGBTQ club and kept it a secret from them. This is Wellington Middle High School. Middle-High School, so I guess it's all in one. And the activities of the GSA, the Gay Straight Alliance, were not known to the parents, and those who headed the club's meetings actively encouraged students to keep talks about polyamory, puberty blockers, transgenderism, gender identity, sexuality, suicide, and name and pronoun changes a secret from their parents. They also invited a substitute teacher who was the director of the Supporting Pride Learning and Social Happenings organization to teach the children about sex education and gender identity. The kids were told if they came out, they would get lots of swag, including pride flags, toys, and other things. By the way, just to hammer it home, the teacher scared the students by telling them that there was a high likelihood of suicide if they were transgender, then that if they did not feel safe, they could come and talk to them, the teachers, instead of their parents, because that was the reason that there was the suicide, because they weren't accepted by their parents. Don't worry, as a teacher in Frisco ISD said that we uncovered, she said, if your parents don't accept you, I'm your family now. Hello, red flag, red flag, red flag. Gentlemen?
Wasn't it somebody that sent you a message the other day that said that you and I hate public teachers so much?
Yes.
We've never said that,
No.
but we do hate teachers' unions, and we do hate ideologies that push a narrative, that force a curriculum that means you teachers have to, push these certain things. I don't know why people put their kids in schools. I really don't anymore. You have this whole cabal marshaled against the minds of your children in a brainwashing institution scenario that I just don't get it. I mean, yeah, I know it's hard to homeschool your kids. I did it. I get it. It's hard to do it. But man, I don't know.
Chad, we homeschool. Misery loves company.
Yeah.
That guy at the bar that drinks by himself would rather not. He'd rather corrupt someone else to come drink with him. And so these people.
I feel attacked.
I'm trying to tell you, don't go to the bar for many reasons. Get a wingman. You need some air cover. But no, these are morbidly depressed individuals who now want to claim your children as their children. They are actually in private miserable. If you look at the community that's promoting suicide as a way to end life, we're talking about promoting suicide now. Europe are now making suicide pods. You can now let this legislation coming to say, well, maybe suicide is an option. It's the same community that wants to sexualize children. It's the same community that says your kids are not yours, they're ours. It's just avalanche of dysfunction, right? And I've got close friends who choose to live a lifestyle that I don't live, right? And it's your right to live your life in America the way you want to, but you ought not to take your freedom and impose your value system on anybody else, never mind a child. Yeah. What would happen if I led every conversation in society with my sexual preference of loving sex with my wife? People would look at me go, dude, come on. Even my friends, my own blood brother would go, TMI,
that's
thank you, not for our ears. Think about what I'm saying, though. If the flip side of the coin was there, right? If we were to go into a school and say, Johnny, don't tell your mom, but I'm going to make you a heterosexual male, and we're going to do this, and blah, blah, and you're going to get all the girls in the block, and you want to be the quarterback because you're the... People would go, something's wrong with you, dude. Don't do that to a child.
What if I came over to your house, somebody's house, right? And they got kids, and I go to the house and I'm like, hey, how you doing, mom, dad? They're friends. You know what? I'm going to go up to the kids' room, hang with them for a little while. We're going to shut the door. We're going to have a chat.
Read them a story.
I'm just going to hang out with the kids. Be weird. But this is what we're doing. We're letting this happen.
If you like that clip, there is plenty more where that came from. Click the link in the description below to subscribe to the News and Why It Matters YouTube channel to watch the full episode.